It's going to be a very exciting. Go ahead.
Nice. Got some folks coming in. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to give us just a minute to let everyone get in before we get started. Yeah, just one moment here. You're a four-time best-selling author?
It's true. It's true, Dave.
It's a fact. Seems like a lot to.
That's fact.
That
Yeah.
is-
If while you guys are coming in, if you don't mind, just tell me in the chat how long you've been in the business. And I know Dave has some things to say, but while we're waiting, put in the chat. Hey, how are you? Let me make sure you're alive. Tell me where you're from and how long you've been in the business.
Yeah.
And I'm so not used to not seeing people anymore, because usually when we do webinars now, like I want to see the people, because I'm like, it's kind of weird to talk to nobody, but I'm talking to you, Dave.
That's right. I'm
So
here.
at
I'm here
least,
for
at least you'll laugh at my jokes, hopefully.
you.
But is the chat not working, or is it just people are quiet?
Looks like maybe the chat should be on, but let us know if not. Oh, chat's disabled.
Somebody put the chat in so we can know if this is working, please. Oh, they're putting in the Q&A. Do it in the chat if you can do it. Oh, chat is disabled. Oh yeah, we like the chat. Okay, so if it's in the Q&A, thank you, Ryan, for telling me that. I thought like this was really falling flat already. Not a good sign. Awesome. Okay, so Andre, 5 years. Thanks for saying hi. Yes, everybody's telling me chat's disabled. See, good. Now we're seeing it. I don't know if you know how to enable that. That would be nice, but we can put it in the Q&A side. I'm not sure. Let's see. Chat.
Once I do a little housekeeping intro stuff, I'll try to get that chat turned on.
Okay. Go ahead, do your thing, man.
Yeah, let me go ahead and jump in here. So, got a few notes. So, welcome today, everyone. This is our Solution Spotlight. It's a series we do to highlight all kinds of experts in the industry, share best practices with our audience. And so today we have Robyn Crane, CFP of Crane Financial Inc., joining us to talk about how to attract ideal clients and clone them like magic. XYPN, we aim to empower financial advisors to start, run, and grow the fee-only RIA of their dreams. Today, what you're going to learn from Robyn is hopefully is going to help you effectively engage and clone your best clients, leveraging strategies that align really perfectly with XYPN's commitment to help advisors build and thrive their practices. So a few housekeeping items before we kick off. I just want to tell you about a couple events that we have coming up. Tomorrow, August 21st, we have a Learn to Launch office hours that we do that's open to anyone. It's our success strategist. I'll drop the link in the chat if I can get that turned on. If not, it'll be Q&A. But that'll be a good one if you are planning to launch your RIA. And then next week, August 27th, we have Ditch the Pitch, Mastering Genuine Conversations to Hit Sales Goals. That's with Nancy Bleak Gives Sales Pro Insider. And last but not least, XYPN Live is coming up October 15th to 17th in Minneapolis. So if you haven't gotten your ticket, now's a great time. Tickets are $5.99 for XYPN members and $7.99 for non-members. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Robyn. I'll try to get that chat turned on. I'm going to turn my camera off, but I will be here if you need me.
Awesome. Oh, that was the turning over. Okay. So, hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. That's exciting. Sometimes I get this like whole drum roll. Here's the amazingness, but I'll tell you, I didn't give you my amazing bio, but it's great to see you at least in the chat or in the Q&A. I'm super excited to be here. And I actually wasn't, I was in your shoes not too long ago. I actually became a financial advisor in 2006 and a CFP in 2009. And so ran my own financial business for about 10 years and then started helping other advisors grow theirs. So I'm blown away by how quickly those 18 years have passed and how much has changed since I was a wee youngin, starting in the financial industry, and really blown away by how I've been able to really help a lot of and thousands of financial advisors grow their businesses. So I'm excited to do the same for you. So whether you're just starting out, and if we get the chat going, we'll be able to see it better, but you can put in the Q&A, like how long have you been in the industry? Some of you already started started that. But whether you're just starting out and you're like, wow, I really need a system to be able to get those ideal clients, not just get anyone with a pulse, or whether you've maybe been in the industry for 7 to 10 years and you're like, well, it's starting to work, it's working, but it's not necessarily predictable or reliable. Or maybe you've been in the industry for decades, like 20 years, maybe 30 years. And even though you've built a really sustainable referral only type of practice, you still might be open to growing, not just growing your business, but also growing yourself. So if that's any of you, and then you've come to the right place. As you can tell, I got a lot of energy. I'm excited. I really love bringing this information to you, but because it's not what has been taught in the industry, it's very, very different. So what you're going to learn today, I will share my screen. Let's make sure it works here. What you're going to learn today is how to attract ideal clients and clone them like magic. So I am a CFP. I've been a CFP, like I said, in 2009. So for quite some time, don't practice so much anymore, but I still will hold on tight to that. So why I'm here is really, I want to help you make more money so you can help more people. And you can see in the background, I actually have a poster here. This is my latest book. And as my book suggests, like, I want you to be able to be successful in your business for the sake of impact. And I think a lot of you are probably here because you got into the business because you wanted to make a difference. You wanted to help people. You wanted to change lives. And then you realize, oh man, like, I'm actually in this business where I actually have to go and bust my butt to go get clients. And there's a lot of like, I didn't realize I had so much to do with in sales and whatnot. And so I want to make it easy for you so that if you're here to really make a difference and help people, of course, I want you to be able to make money and in a way that's totally fulfilling for you and transformational for others. And I want to thank XYPN for having me. I talked to Amy just a couple of weeks ago, and we were so excited to bring this to you. So you're in a good place with this amazing community and this amazing organization. So glad to be here. As I mentioned, this is my book. And just to tell you a quick story about me and how I kind of got into this, I'll stop sharing for a second, is that when I started, it was very typical of the financial advisor path. And, unless you've been handed a book of business or maybe you were in an assistant role for some time for a while, you've probably been through this path where you get into the industry and they tell you to make your list of 100. Some of you who are newer, it might be a list of 200, and then go to friends and family, create centers of influence, try to build these relationships, and of course, like, go networking. And so that's what I was told. And actually, before I was a financial advisor, I was a singer-songwriter. So jumping into that was like, this is my network of people who play music. And so it was very difficult. But then after some time, I did the things like I worked hard. I went networking. I even called friends and family and did all those things, and finally got to a point where I was making six figures. Because if you put enough time in this industry, as many of you know, you'll start making money. It's a recurring revenue model. It's beautiful. And so I was getting to that point where I had some assets under management, but I completely stopped focusing on getting new clients. I was just in the servicing mode. How many of you have ever done that where you're like, okay, I gotta go get clients. And then you realize, oh my gosh, my job is servicing them and dealing with withdrawals and distributions and all the things that come up with it. And then you realize, what the heck, I'm actually a therapist. I didn't realize that getting into this, like all the jobs that entail that. So I was just running my patterns and kind of fulfilling on all my promises, meeting with clients and whatnot. And I really wasn't focused on the marketing side of the business. And it's almost like I just realized that, oh my goodness, I haven't been making money, like new money. And so I started to slowly, as my income went down, I slowly went into debt. And as you can imagine, or maybe some of you have experienced, I felt like a fraud. I felt like an imposter. I felt like I didn't belong there and I shouldn't be doing this. Even though in my heart of hearts, like, I just so badly wanted to help people make a difference, I just felt like I wasn't good enough. And so I was going through that whole mental thing and just feeling all this stress and all this pressure on me to make money. And I was the breadwinner in my family. And at some point, it's like I had already gotten to that six-figure mark. And now I'm like pedaling back to where I only got one new client in this 1 year, and it was $500 in revenue. And I had some recurring revenue. I had some AUM, but like 40,000. So going from like over, 100 grand to going down to 40,000, I was freaking out. And I was just like going in just to such stress mode. And I remember this day, my husband and I, it was like October in New Jersey, and he's driving back, from our friend's house, and he pulled over. And at the time my husband and I had been trying to get pregnant. And for years and years, it's probably been about 4 years at that time. And this state, you've ever been there, and I'm sure many of you have, of like when you're totally stressed, you feel all this pressure, like you just feel like you're not enough and you can't really do anything about it. I'm in that state, and my husband turns to me, parks the car, and he turns to me and he says, I think we should do IVF. And my initial reaction was just anger. I was like, how could he be thinking this? Like, I'm working my butt off. I'm trying to get my business back on track. I'm trying to get back to that 6-figure mark. And you want to do this? Like, I know we want to have a baby. I know this is important, but like, this is not the time. And I'm thinking all of this. And I turn to him and I say, honey, like, and then I start to get emotional. And I'm like, honey, we don't have the money for this. Because I so badly wanted that end result. I really wanted to have a baby. I said, we don't have the time for this. We don't have the money. Like, this is not happening. Like, we can't do that. My husband turned to me and he said, I will never let money get in the way of us having what we want. And I thought, you know what? You're right. You're right. And took a deep breath and kind of talked about it. Didn't know how we were going to make it happen, but I knew I had to get my business on track so I can feel good about all the money I was going to pour into IVF. And so I found that like, if I could just focus on a few things, like the things that would make the money, because I actually had been at $100,000 already. Like I'd arrived. So I thought, and I got comfortable and I thought, okay, what were the things that really got me there? And number one, I realized it was my mindset. I'd gotten into this pattern, this downward spiral of just like, constantly like beating myself up and feeling all this pressure and putting all this stress on myself because I wasn't making the money. And then I'm like, no, it's okay. I got to focus on what's working, not what's not working. And the second thing I had to do, I had to really focus on being selective. Because if you've been in the industry for some time, you just start taking on clients at the beginning. And then before you know it, you realize like you're just busy servicing these clients. And I'm like, I do need more clients, but I cannot bring on the same caliber of clients I've been bringing on for the last 7 years. I need to make sure to be very, very selective. And so I made a conscious decision that I was going to bring on clients that were ideal clients that I truly wanted to be with for their retirement and for the next whatever years. I intended to do that for years to come, and they were ideal. And then the third thing I did was I focused on money making activities. So I've been saying marketing, but I want you to make the distinction. You can write this down. If you're not doing money making activities, you're not going to be making the money. Okay. So I stopped doing my money making activities. And so I wasn't getting new clients. So I'm going to talk about this today and show you how you can do this. But instead of just trying to get everybody and anybody and doing all these marketing activities or prospecting activities, I want to show you how to do the right things to attract the right clients to you and get those appointments on your calendar with high caliber people so that you could be not only helping people and making more money, but also transforming lives. And under it all, what I realized, like everything, when I said I had to do these things, really what I had to do was stretch. And this is my little like representation of your comfort zone. And if I say, okay, everything you want lies outside your comfort zone, otherwise you'd already have it. And so if that is whether it's $100,000 a year, whether it's $100,000 a month, whether it's $100,000 a day, and I've done all of those things, like I had to stretch. And it didn't happen overnight, but I had to stretch and I had to be willing to stretch myself so that I could get there. And so what I want to give you today is so much more than just the strategies. It's actually the mindset around how to create this successful business that you want and that you can have intentionally, you can create intentionally, so that you can not only have a successful business, but have your ideal business and build your ideal life. And so what I did is I started cloning my clients. And so you can see here, this is our mentorship at the time. FEM stands for Female Empowered Moneymakers. So I was working just with women at the time. And that's my little guy who, by the way, I did end up finally, another story, but finally was able to have through the magic of IVF. In my first year with that kid, when he was about 6 months old, I was able to hit the 7-figure mark that year. And so my business over time just completely turned around, and I was able to do that by cloning my ideal clients. And you'll know right now, because there's a lot of guys on this call here, is that I didn't always like at forever work with this ideal client. Like this was my ideal client then. And now I work with men and women in the financial industry, and that could change and that can change. And it's starting to morph. But the thing is, I got really clear on who these people are and started to clone them again and again and again. And here is the next baby we were able to have in 2020, when there were so many obstacles and so many reasons why the business could be harder and harder. But because I have these strategies, the strategies I'm going to give you, we were able to do even more. We did 1.5 million in 2020, had our baby, had the lifestyle that we wanted. market. And I like to think we're like superheroes. This is my family, a little bit old, this picture, but and I believe that we are here on this planet to help people, and we got to save people. And it's the ones who are raising their hand saying, I want to be saved, but they're not just all like shouting from the rooftops, come save me. It's all subtle. It's like in the messaging. And I'm going to talk about that today, of how you attract these people so you can go save them in a way that's going to transform their lives. And I do believe that you got in the industry because you want to help people. And that's where this comes in, especially when it comes to money. It's like people need permission to get your help. Okay, so what you're going to learn today is something that I took out of my ideal client cloning machine so that you understand, well, who is the person you want to attract and how to clone them again and again so that you have more time, more impact, and more income. So what you're going to learn today is the shortcut to success. You're going to learn how to pick your clone, this clone idea, and you're going to learn the Revenue Accelerator System so you can brace yourself for a second. Here we go. So you can... Yep. Here it's coming. It's coming. I'm going to give you this. So you can keep cloning and cloning and cloning and cloning. This is always better in front of a live studio audience here, but you're live. I just can't see you guys. But I hope you're laughing because my job here is not just to give you amazing information that can absolutely change your life. My job here is to help you clone and clone and clone your clients so that you can have your ideal business and ideal life. Now, those of you who think I'm too much, I understand. I'm not the best for everybody, but for those of you who like a little engagement instead of just boring slides, you're in for a treat. Okay, so here it is, the shortcut to success. So here's what I see a lot is that people want the shortcut. They're like, help me, help me, help me. But then the excuses come in. It's like, well, hey man, you want some help? No, I'm too busy, no time, can't slow down, right? And here they are using old archaic strategies that no longer work. And I love the industry. I've been in the industry for multiple decades in the way that I'm teaching now. And it's like what we're doing is absolutely transformational, but man, how many of you would agree? Some of those strategies they're teaching you are archaic, right? So I want to give you something that's going to work today. It can work online. It's going to work in your business ongoing. And I'm sure things will change, but it will keep you evolving. Okay, so let me tell you a little story. If you don't recognize this guy, this is Tony Robbins. You think I got a lot of energy? Wait till you meet this guy. So I actually went to my first Tony Robbins not too long after I got into the industry. And I went there skeptical. I mean, I went there because I was like told, he came into our office, not he, I wish I could say he, but someone who was selling his tickets to his event came into our office and they're like, oh, you can grow your business. And this is how to do it. Go to this Tony Robbins event. And I'm like very skeptical. And at the time, I was super negative about the business because I had been working my butt off. I was working like 70, 80 hours a week at the beginning, doing all the things they told me to do. I was going networking. I was meeting friends and family. I was going to, doing like trying to get centers of influence to want to refer me, even though I was 29 years old and I had no credibility. But I was coachable. I was doing all the things and it wasn't working. So they came to my office. They're like, come to this event. So I'm like, fine. So I go to this event and like drop, I don't know, it was $500 out of my pocket that I didn't have, by the way, because I was a little bit challenged at the time with, we call it challenged financially. And so I go there and I get into the room. And I don't know how many of you have ever been, put in the chat or put in the Q&A, like if you've been to a Tony Robbins event or you've seen him online. Okay, if you haven't, it's quite an experience to say the least. So I go there. If not, I'll give you a taste of it, okay? So I go there and like everybody's like jumping up and down. They're playing loud music and like they're just screaming. And I'm like, what is this? I came for business. Like, I don't understand. I came to make some money, not to like jump up and down and dance. And I was very, very skeptical. I'm not proud of it, but I was. And so I'm like listening to this stuff. And like, I mean, I've never heard this stuff before. Like I'd never been exposed to this. And when he says this, he's like, so what you're going to do, you're going to be able to change your state. When you change your state, you can have everything you want. How fast can you change your state in a heartbeat? How fast in a heartbeat? And so everyone's like this. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And so then you start kind of drinking the Tony Robbins Kool-Aid and you're like jumping up and down. And then after a few days, I'm like excited. I'm like, this is actually cool. Like I can create my own destiny. I can have what I want. And I'm like, this is actually possible because I was running these patterns of like, this isn't working. This is negative. Remember, I told you mindset was number one for me. Like I realized that. And so I go to this event, right? And then we get to this point at the event where he's like, in order to completely shift your life so that you can create the destiny that you want. Excuse me, I'm a little cold. Okay, he didn't say that, but I said that. And he says, so what you're going to do, you're going to take your finger and you're going to think of a limiting belief. Okay. And he said, when you think of this limiting belief, what happens is you have a limiting belief that's holding you back from having everything you want. Okay. And so he said, it's playing like a record in your brain over and over and over again. And so you keep creating the same result. So he said, what you have to do is like when we had records way back when, right? You'd scratch the record. And then if you scratched it and scratched it, it would no longer play the same again. So his theory, his philosophy was they were going to like do like this scratching of the record and change your limiting beliefs, annihilate your limiting beliefs by taking your finger, going like this, 1, 2, 3, sticking it up your nose, and you're going to say the limiting belief. And my limiting belief was, I'm so stupid. So I'm like, I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. And he's like, now you're going to stop and you're going to say, that's BS. It's a belief system. That's bull. You know what? And the truth is, I'm awesome. I'm smart. I'm brilliant. All these things. So I like leave the event like on cloud 9, like totally like excited, you know, as if what I've heard, I'm on drugs, but I wasn't, don't worry. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is awesome. I go into and going to the office the next day, we set like that bullpen where we just have our list, you know, in our binder, we've been making calls and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, I got this. I'm like, hey, what's up? Hey, seeing everybody as I pass. And then I get to my desk and then I have to make these calls because this is what I learned. Like I'm going to call my list of 100, call my friends and family. And I got to say this script like, oh, hey, this is what I'm doing. And so I get that list, I look at the list, I look at the script on my computer and I'm like, I don't really want to say that. I look at that phone and I'm like, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, no, make your move at Tony Robbins. Like, make your move. And you're like, woo, make your move, woo. And so I try to get in state, but there's like 7 other people around. And so I'm like, woo. And so again, I look at this, look at the list, I look at the computer, I look at the phone, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm thinking about how I just annihilated this limiting belief. I'm so stupid. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm thinking, I'm so stupid. So it's like 8 hours later after my amazing high at this incredible Tony Robbins event where I thought I changed my life forever, where I finally put down my skepticism, where I finally believed that I was totally brilliant. Now it was back again. And so as much as I love this idea, and how many of you have ever heard about like the personal development stuff? And I'm a big believer in how you show up in your life and how you develop personally will impact your business. And even though I did that stuff, I had a roadblock. Okay, so I want to give you the shortcut to success because here's how it works. Okay, you have a belief, whatever your beliefs are, you have many beliefs, and those beliefs influence your behaviors. And your behaviors influence your results. And so if I believe, for example, I'm bad at sales, then I'm going to have a behavior. Maybe I won't pick up the phone. You know, if I believe I'm stupid, like I just said, it's going to impact my results. If I want to have a better result, I need to shift my belief. That's what Tony Robbins says. Change your belief, and then I'll have different behaviors and I'll get better results. Sounds great. But the problem was I couldn't do that. Even when I jumped up and down, like it kept plaguing me, came back up. We've had like decades and decades of these beliefs that came to us when we were 4 or 5 years old. And it was just hard for me to change. Maybe it's not you, but it was for me. So what I realized after it took me about 10 years to figure this out, that if I just borrowed the belief, and the way that I did that was I borrowed the belief of somebody else. I found someone more successful than I was, someone who was successful, who was helping people do what I wanted to do. And that was this other coach that I had. His name was Jeff. And he said, Robyn, when you have the belief, because I had this belief, I'm stuck. And he said, when you have that belief, I'm stuck, just take action anyway. And the second he said that, I'm like, okay, I can be stuck and take the action. So I borrowed his belief without realizing at the time. And I took the action. What was the action? What was the behavior or the action? It was a system that he gave me. The specific system, because he was my coach and he was helping me out, know exactly what to do. And once I followed that system, I got the results. And then what happened was after a while, those results were like, I, got a new client, and that new client made me $5,000. I realized I brought so much transformational value to that client. And the end result also was that I made money. I was starting to make this bridge to realize that when I make more money, I help more people. And then I started to adopt the belief. So I borrowed the behavior. I borrowed the belief. I did the behavior. I got the result, and I adopted new behaviors. And now it kind of keeps going in infinity forever, is that the more I can borrow these beliefs and do the right actions, the better the results. And then the more likely I'm going to have those beliefs, those more empowering beliefs. And eventually don't think I'm so stupid after all. Okay. So here's an example. This is a client, Jamie Fleming, and she had a limiting belief that I need more clients. How many of you sometimes think I need more clients, but I don't have time? Okay. If you are in that camp, then you can relate to this. Now her behavior was waiting for referrals. She was paying for seminars, waiting for referrals, paying for seminars, or she was doing what everybody else is supposed to do, excuse me, build relationships with centers of influence. Anyone can relate to this. Need more clients. Okay. But you only have so much time. So sometimes it's proactive, sometimes it's reactive. And her result, she actually was growing her business. It was just very slow. Okay. And so I wanted to give her this opportunity, shortcut to success, to have a limitless belief. And so she borrowed my belief that I just need more ideal clients. And my hope for you today is that you borrow my belief that you can have, you need more clients, but you don't need more clients. You need more ideal clients. And if it's ideal clients, now we can get very specific about that. We can clone them again and again like magic. Okay, the behavior was that she followed the Revenue Accelerator System, and I'm going to go over that with you today. And the results was that she had huge revenue accelerations even in a down market. Okay, so I'm giving you these examples so you can understand. Now, you can see her revenue went way up. It went from 283,000, 25%, and it kept going while she's working less and getting ideal clients. And what's crazy is that she actually, this was a couple of years ago, but she got in this accident and had head injuries, and she couldn't work. She could only work a few hours a day. And it was a big struggle for her and her family. But because she had this system and was able to get ideal clients, she didn't need very many new ones. She worked way less and still made more money. So I'm sad that she went through that, but very proud of the results she was able to get. You can see her here, and you can see her results that she was going from 282,000 to, this is a little outdated, but to all the way to about 500,000 just a couple of years later using these strategies. So I want to build the belief in you. So not only borrow my belief, but borrow the belief from Jamie that this is possible for you. Here, you can see her just to see that. I like to just show the personality behind it. Very cute with her kids. Okay, very cute. All right, so where'd it go? Here we go. So let's go into number 2. So, if you can borrow my belief for the rest of this time that we have together, then borrow my belief that you can pick a clone. And then once you clone your ideal client, you could do this again and again and again and be able to have a more ideal business. Now, a lot of time, very busy on a webinar, please. Sorry. Sorry, I get very, very distracted. Okay, so time. So let me go back a step because I got distracted. How to pick your clone. So my biggest thing is that I can't stand wasting time. It gets me just super, super angry. And so I know sometimes we're wasting time with the wrong people. How many of you have ever experienced that? Where you're meeting with someone, you feel like you've already gone all the way through this, so far that you don't know how to be oh, I don't actually want to take you on as a client. You don't know how to be selective anymore. So that's one of the things where we're wasting time. I had my little kids make the face for me. So similar with the fears around this, what are some of the fears related to this? I'm saying cloning, but some of you might be associating this to niching your business. So I just wanted to show you the difference between cloning and target marketing, let's say, and then niching the business. So because in the interest of time, and I don't know if the chat's working very properly, I don't know, maybe you can help with this, but put in the chat or in the Q&A, I will stop here. Sorry, I got so distracted by that. Oh, the chat's working. Okay, cool. So put in the chat, what do you feel like are the concerns or the fears when it comes to niching your business? I just want to see if you guys would relate to this with others as well. And if you find this to be true. Get your typers ready. I didn't warn you enough. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Michael. Okay, thank you, Zach. Okay, fear of picking the wrong one. Okay, thank you. Missing out on other opportunities. I think that's really huge and very common. Too small a market. Okay, thanks, Brad. Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Zach. Who else? Limiting myself and the niche market and grow slowly. Okay, great. Not having a large enough target market, similar. Worried about being bored. Yes. Need revenue now versus waiting for an ideal later. Okay, great. Okay, these are all really, really good. Not best ROI, sustainable in terms of growth. Okay, so I think the most common ones that I've seen are that you're worried about, if I niche my business, I'm going to miss opportunities. So I would say that's very clear. And maybe I'm going to run out of people, right? And you're kind of saying it might be too small. My fear is getting more narrow on my niche. The clients that aren't my ideal clients are the ones who will pay. Wait, sorry, Brian, I'm trying to read this. Is that the clients who aren't in my ideal niche are the ones who will pay me more. Okay, got it. So what I'm going to show you, and we'll do some of this, but is that we can pick the niche. I'm not going to niche, but we can pick the clone to make you the money you want to make so that you make sure that the money math makes sense, but you also love working with that person. Okay, cool. So it's good to recognize that these are some of the fears. And what I want to show you is that you do not have to niche your business. And I know some people say that, and I know some people say specializing. There's nothing wrong with that, but you don't have to. Okay, because usually it's like I'm planting my flag. I feel like I have to do this one way. Like I can only work with these clients. So instead, I want you to think of this idea of cloning. This is why we clone instead of niche. Now, let me give you the concept, and you'll understand the difference in a second. Okay, so this is what I call the rule of 10. So if I say this is who I want to clone, and at one time it was a female financial advisor, and I say, okay, the path to where I want the end result where I want to be, I need to get these ideal clients. And ideally, it's just 10. Okay. So we want to go on this quest to find 10 ideal clients. And this is what I said about the money math. We want to make sure that we can reverse engineer this and make the money you want to make. Okay. So let's say you want to make an extra $100,000 or you want an extra 10 million under management. So we can say, okay, here's the end result. You want 10 million under management. We can all do the math, right? How much do you need to make per client in order to hit that? If it's a rule of 10, well, you only get 10 clients. In fact, you get one client 10 times, and it's a clone of that client. So let's say for you, it's a female executive. Okay. It could be an executive, any gender, but let's just say it's an executive. So you're like, I need to make at least 1 million on average from this client. So now we know, because we said the rule of 10, we want 10 million or $100,000 in revenue. We reverse engineer it. And then you can pick, I'm going to show you how to do this, but let's just pretend you pick this one executive. Okay. And so then you're cloning this person. And what happens is when you're cloning someone, and there's a whole language with this I teach in some of my seminars and my events, my programs, is like how you position yourself as an expert to attract these people. What happens is that people will come to you outside of that clone, okay? Because your positioning is so high. If you say I work with anybody and everybody, your positioning is like you're desperate. It's like, I need money, I need clients, versus I'm very particular about who I work with. And this is who I'm looking for, this executive. And then let's say you get this little old lady, beautiful, wonderful old lady, and she's got this $600,000 annuity. Typically, you're working with executives who have $1 million, but she comes to you because she's the mother of the client. Do you say, no, I'm not going to work with you because I have a niche of executives? Absolutely not. You're just cloning your client to position yourself as an expert to attract people like that. And then you get someone like this little old lady and you take her on as a client and you're happy to. Okay. So this is not about niching. It's not about you can only work with these people. It's actually a positioning play. And then once you understand who this person is, this person you're going to clone 10 times, along the path, you'll meet other people that you can attract and take on if you want, or if they're not the right client, you don't have to. And then we can just continue to grow the business in the way that you want, right? So you continue to get these let's say executives, and then you might attract someone this is what happened to me. I was working with women, and then I got some guy who wanted to work with me, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And so I started to get, this was a guy who was very successful at this company. He was noted as the #1 financial professional. He was doing like $3 million a year or something. And he came to me asking for my help because I was positioned as the expert, even though he was not my ideal clone. Okay. He was still an ideal client. So it doesn't mean you have to niche your business. It just means you get to attract these 10. You keep going after the 10. These are the 10 ideal clients I want. I'm going to clone them. And sometimes for me, that gender changed to now I work with men and women. And then if you want to make sure that they're drinking because you like wine, great too. Totally not necessary. I'm just joking. Okay. So that's how you do it so that you don't have to just keep doing more of everything. And this is what people are doing: more cold calls, more follow-up, more networking, more seminars, more referral requests, more direct email or mail, more partnerships, all these things that you think you have to do in order to get clients, because you don't need 100 clients. You don't want 100 clients. You don't want to have this huge book of business. What I'm guessing is you want more ideal clients. So what if you can get those 10 ideal clients? And you say, I'm just going to keep that. In fact, get that one client and just keep cloning them again and again and again. So keep it simple. Now, when I was doing these media tours and whatnot, like they'd ask me, because I went from $500 in sales to 500,000 in just 2 years. And they'd always say, in 2 years, less than 2 years, Robyn, how did you do that? And I was always like, I got clear on who I really was great at helping. And then I don't think you used the language back when I was doing media, but I was just cloning them. Who is the person that I'm best at helping? And I would just go, hey, that's who I'm talking to. That's who I'm talking to in my messaging. That's who I'm talking to in my marketing. That's who I'm talking to every day. Okay. So here's how you do it. This is called cloning magic. Sorry, I have a little cold. So you want to do the money math, reverse engineer it, and start with how much you want to make. And then I think that says 20, but I can't see because my faces are in the way. Let me move this real quick. Okay. So you say 20,000. I'm going to move my faces. Okay, cool. And then you say, well, how many clients would you like per month ideally? So what I would recommend here now is that you just take a screenshot of this, and you can do this later because I only have 25 minutes here. But how many additional money, or excuse me, how much additional revenue do you want to make per month? So let's say it's 20. Then we're like, how many clients would you like per month ideally? Okay, ideally. Because usually when I ask this question, it's like, they're like 20,000 and they're like 4. And I said, so if you could make 20,000 with 2 clients, you'd say, no, I want 4 clients. I really need 4 clients instead. That could be the case for some reason, but typically it's just because of what you believe that, hey, yeah, it's likely I can get those clients or not. Okay, so I'll show you how to do it, but you just try to paint the picture. Let's use our mindset here of what would be ideal for you. And I think it's very doable in this industry to make $10,000 in revenue from 1 client. Absolutely. So that's the answer to this math problem. Take 20,000 divided by 2. And then the question is that you should be asking yourself, or that I would encourage you to ask yourself now is, well, who would you clone that might bring about 10,000 in revenue per year? And that's something called level 1, level 2, and level 3. And I'll show you how to do this. Okay. If you're with me, give me a high five or a thumbs up or something, so I know you're understanding this. If this is at all confusing, those of you who want to get appointments on your calendar in the next couple of weeks very quickly, you can join me. I'm actually having a challenge, a 5-day challenge called the Appointment Generator Challenge. We will do this together. And then I'm going to help you go out on LinkedIn and different ways to go get ideal clients. I'm going to show you how to do it to get 5 appointments. So this is not the last time we have to see each other, but I'm going to show you how to do this here as well. Okay, here's an example. So the level 1 means we're cloning someone in your book of business. Okay, so if you already have a book of business and you already have ideal clients, then you could say, I want to clone someone in my book of business. That's what I call level 1. Okay, here's an example. Pam, she was working with clients at many different levels and she was afraid to say no. And then some of them only had 200,000, some of them had 2 million. And so I was like, well, how about we put our attention on cloning the 1 client who has 2 million versus the client who has 200,000. Okay. And we set the standard. And at the time her book, this was 2019, was 35 million. And then after, she cloned Barbara. Okay. And she started working with more Barbaras. Okay. They weren't really Barbara, but they were like Barbara. We got really clear on who is this woman. She's a divorced woman. Pam happened to be also a CDFA. So she was a divorced woman. She had at least $1 million. Sometimes it was more. All right. And because of this strategy, and of course, other strategies we implemented, but in just 2 years, she grew her book to over 110 million. Okay. That's a pretty good return, right? From 35 million to 110 because she started focusing on ideal clients. Okay. So that's what I want for you, is to be able to have such a huge, drastic change in your life that's so material for you that you can really make more money and help more people. Okay. Now you might say, well, I'm just starting, or I've only been in business for 5 years, or maybe you have a book of business, but you're like, I really don't have people I want to clone, Robyn. I'll say, okay, well, let's try level 2. Do you have someone in your warm market that you could clone, that you know? So this is level 2, is clone someone you know. So this is an example of me, actually, when I was a financial advisor and I knew this woman, Amy. We actually went to family camp together and I knew her kids. I'm like, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years, something like that, younger than her. And so I didn't want to be pouncy. And like, I know I was supposed to talk to friends and family, but like, I felt really awkward going to friends and family. And so instead I said, can I speak at your kids' just like a parent night, basically, at the preschool. Anyway, so she hooked me up with that. And I didn't ever get her as a client. I never really tried, but I got client after client after client who was just like her. And I started cloning her. I didn't know at the time, but I started cloning her. And that's how I got to the $100,000 mark. And she wasn't even like the $1 million level, but like, because I was really intentional about who I wanted, like, and I was doing insurance and 529s, and I was doing managed money, and I was doing plans, I was able to make about $10,000 per client and grow my business to $100,000. Maybe it was less, 5,000 probably at the time. But you can even start with the rule of 20 if you want, and clone 20 clients if you want. Okay. So the third level is to clone someone you don't know. So this is an example of Tracy, and Tracy actually had a good business. Like, she was doing fine. She was doing 6 figures, but she, especially when the pandemic hit, like, she really didn't have strategies to get clients consistently. And she didn't have any really like ideal clients. And so she just picked, like, she wanted to get better clients, larger clients she can help more. You can see all this. And so she started cloning attorneys. She didn't have any attorney clients. She didn't know any attorneys in her warm market that she could just talk to. So she literally just chose. Okay. And her, at the time, this was 52,000 in new business. She had 5 strong prospects in the pipeline. And she had more that was, that was coming. So what I encourage you to do, again, those of you who are going to join me in the tag challenge, the appointment generator challenge, we'll do this together. But even if you had to dare to do it imperfectly right now, just think about, well, who would you clone? First of all, it would be level 1, level 2, or level 3. And then who is that person? And it's a person. Okay. It's not a couple. Okay. But it's either someone in your book of business, someone you know in your warm market, or someone you don't know. And ideally do that online. And I'll show you the tag challenge, how we do that on LinkedIn as an example. But you can use this to now get those clones again and again and again. So just pick, don't be perfect. Okay. Let me go into the revenue accelerator system. So I want to give you the whole big picture of how this all fits in. And I have something called the Revenue Accelerator System that will show you how to do this so you can take it further and take the information and really turn it into lasting transformation. Okay, so it's a 5-step system. And the first step is crystallize your make more money mindset. So if you think of these pillars as mindset. So I talked about this at the beginning. It's like, well, borrow my belief that you don't need a lot of clients. You just need ideal clients, and that you don't need to work with everybody. You can be selective. Okay. And that's just one thing that we do when it comes to your mindset, but understanding that who you are and who you become is going to shape your business. And I'm a big fan of that. Those of you who continue to work with me in some capacity, you'll see this all the time, that I believe that you have the ability and capability to control your business and your revenue and your outcome. And so you have to step up and stretch, as I said earlier, in order to get there. Okay. So give you an example. This is Lisa, and she lacked confidence. She was actually pretty new in the industry. And she was like, I want to work with high-end executives with $1 million plus to manage. And she's like, everybody keeps telling me it's just an extra zero. Because she worked with a lot of people with 100 grand, and she wanted to work with people with $1 million. But then she had this block. She felt like she wasn't necessarily going to be able to help them. Right. She said, I don't feel confident that I can help them. And so what we did is this is one of the strategies we used, was a belief loan phenomenon. I'm like, Lisa, just take my word for it, borrow my belief. And what do is you borrow the belief just long enough to do the system or take the action, which is the behavior. Okay. Borrow the belief that yes, this is possible. You can work with $1 million client. Don't believe it. Just borrow the belief. Now follow the system. And so we picked who's your ideal client. Her case actually was female executives. And so we picked that. And now she was an action taker. She was coachable. And so I had her do step by step by step. And then eventually she got her $1 million clients. And then she got them again and again and again. So here's just an example. I signed new $1 million clients this week. And then she was saying, these are coming from LinkedIn. They're both executives, both cold contacts, super ideal clients. At the time, it was about, I think, September. She said she was at 7.5 million in new AUM. I think this was either her second or third year in business. Okay, 7.5 million new AUM. Okay. And then she ended up closing the year out, plan to close that year out 10 million with half as many clients. So this is why it's way more around this intentional building of the business to clone your ideal clients, as opposed to just work with anybody and everybody, or niching your business, or even specializing is great, but you don't have to. This is a way you can all do this. Okay. So step 2, we talked about this today, which is clarify your market, this ideal clone. Okay. And as you said in the chat, and thank you for all your help with that, is most people, they're afraid to niche. And again, I don't think it's niching. I think it's very different, but still I understand the concerns. You don't want to miss out on opportunities. You don't want to be I only work with these people. You don't want to leave money on the table. You don't want to run out of people to talk to, all those things. So that's real for you. And in Laura's case, she was confused. Because she's like, I know I'm supposed to help people of $1 million, but I really love helping people in college and helping, she's just one of those, her heart goes out to everybody. And she's like, I'm passionate about helping people I don't always make a lot of money from, and I feel torn. And I said, Laura, you can still work with them if you want. I'm not saying you have to say no, that's up to you. But instead, let's just go clone 10 clients. Just let's play the game, go clone 10 clients. If you could clone one person in your book of business, who would it be? We got clear about who that was, because she was confused. And then we'd use the rule of 10. And she decided this is someone who actually was really charitably inclined. She got clear, and she still has worked with some of these college kids, but she now actually charges a fee and all that. But she was able, and this at this time is about 6 months into working together. After identifying her ideal client, she got 5 new ideal clients, and her revenue was at 503,000. Again, this was about September when I put this together. And she thought she wasn't even going to beat or get beyond the 500,000. That was a pipe dream for her to hit 500,000. She hit it by September. Okay. Clarity about your ideal client equals money, right? Having clarity equals money. It's valuable. Okay, so we want to get clear on the ideal clone. Number 3, now this I didn't get into. I usually talk a lot about this because this is kind of my thing, but step 3 is to craft compelling messaging. Now, messaging is the only reason you're here. Whatever you saw in that email was messaging, right? What I said I'm going to talk about, the attract ideal clients and clone them like magic. What happens is when you see a message, whether it's written or spoken or any of that, then you have a belief. Your belief is like, oh, she's credible. Oh, this is something I need. Or, oh, like this is going to help me grow my business. So messaging is actually what drives the beliefs. That if we go back to this crazy 8 thing, the beliefs drive the behaviors. So if you want someone to meet on your or be on your calendar, to book a call on your calendar, let's say, and you want them to show up, then you got to actually shift the beliefs or instill those beliefs that, hey, it's worth their time. You're credible. This is going to be valuable for them, all those things. And that's the power of messaging. Okay. In a nutshell, which is really hard to explain very quickly, but in a nutshell, this is messaging, and messaging is everything. And so what we do is we help people go from like having this unpredictable marketing where they're talking to everybody using language like, hey, I'm going to do a webinar on Social Security or something that is like blanket messaging, to be really, really clear about who you're attracting with this messaging, that you're talking straight to that person so that you get their attention. So April has been very successful even before we met. She said, I have great clients, get lots of referrals, but we need help marketing to the right people and convert them online. So she actually took this strategy and did it predictably online. I'm using using mission-based language, communicating in mission-based language. Now, the mission-based language, that what I just told you is that the reason this works is because it shifts beliefs. How do you do it? You focus on how your ideal client feels, the deep problems that you can solve, and the transformational results that she could get or he can get from you. Okay. And this is in their language, not yours. This is why I'm not a big fan of like saying things like, oh, I take a holistic approach. I do, financial plan, like, I don't know, holistic financial planning, like, or needs-based analysis, like that kind of language is like what the industry says. I want you to talk to the person, that your clone, talk to that person. And that's what's going to get you credibility, get you attention, and going to get them to believe that you're worth talking to and having a conversation. So here's an example of how we use this on LinkedIn. So we're defining like, what are the results this particular person wants, is working with successful women. So building wealth with the goal of financial freedom. You can see here, there's a bunch of results in their language. People to be able to stop working. Notice she didn't say retirement. Continue to work because they want to, not because they have to. Getting to travel and enjoy life. So you can see all these things are like really clear about who this person is, the women in our communities, and what their problems are, what the results are that they want. And when we speak in mission-based language, then we're creating messaging that's compelling because it speaks to them and it drives them to have a behavior or the next step. Okay. And here are some results that she got. Successful online marketing. She went from 150 to 250 at the time, on track for 500. This is a little old, but she's well on her way. She's like running. She'll probably be $1 million producer soon enough. Okay. So step 4 is to commit to money-making activities. And I know this is a lot in an hour. I'm looking at the time to make sure I don't kill you guys, but I want you to know, like, this is just the concept. You don't have to know how to do all of this right now, but you need to just understand, like, this is how it all comes together. Okay. Now, when I say commit to money-making activities, I said this earlier, that when the money-making activities stop, so does the money-making. And we all get into that servicing mode, servicing, right? Because we care so much about helping our clients. I've been there. But what happens if you're not doing those money-making activities and you think you're money-making, but it's really marketing or prospecting? And if you're not getting extra clients, then you're not doing the right things. Okay. As far as to get you the revenue that you want. So we want to make sure you're committing to money-making activities. So this is Tandy. She's an LPL, and she was like very honest. She had this goal of like getting an extra 10 million in assets under management. She basically had that goal for 5 years, but her income hadn't gone up. And she's like, my prospecting activities might as well have been non-existent. I'm going to play this quick video. Hopefully you can hear it. If not, you can read the subtitles, but I think it's very, very telling. See if it works.
A little over a year ago, I was, Tandy, you either need to get to work or sell this business. I am tired of you whining. I'm tired of treading water, which is exactly what I've been doing for years. So here comes Robyn. She put it into bite-sized pieces. My goal was 10 million additional dollars assets under management. which had been my goal for years. And I wanted to do it in, I don't know, 6 months or something ridiculous for someone who didn't even have a prospect in the pipeline. It was probably 7, maybe 8 months. I got my 10 million. Then here comes 2 more in rapid succession. And now I've got 3 more million in my crosshairs.
So I show you this so that you can see what's possible for you. Okay, the last step is to capture ideal clients and monetize. Okay, so this is really like what happens once you get them on your calendar and how you get them through the process in a way that's not salesy. I call it the high impact conversion framework, where they get an incredible amount of impact, whether they convert or not, but you're not chasing clients, chasing prospects, okay? So here's Melissa. She felt like she was too busy. I don't have the time to add more marketing activities to my plate. But she used the strategies and focused on actually improving the conversions. And you could see that she increased her revenue by 70,000. She had more time off. And her major accomplishment was launching her best-selling book. This is her now. She's got a book called Going Rogue, and you can see her here at her book launch. So very, very exciting and awesome. And what is her positioning now that she has a book? High, 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 high. So this is one of the strategies we use that is like tremendously effective. And those of you who come to the tag challenge, we'll teach you how to do this. So if you would like results like these, I want to invite you, I mentioned this a little bit, to the tag challenge. And it all starts with you getting in front of the right prospects. Okay. And everyone who comes to me, like I would say 95% of the time, when they say, Robyn, I need help growing my business. You're a financial advisor and you need help. It's like, if I just could get in front of the right prospects. I'm like, okay, I'll help you with that. So that's exactly what we do. So what if I could show you in real time where you come spend 5 days with me, and not full days, which I often do a 3-day event, but this is 1 hour to an hour and a half a day, depending on if you're in VIP, to get quality appointments on your calendar in just 5 days. We have that coming up, and it's called the Tag Challenge, the Appointment Generator Challenge. It's 5 quality appointments in 5 days. Some of it you just learned today, I pulled out of the Tag Challenge that we're gonna go over and make sure you get that. So it's not like, oh, okay, I'm gonna clone my client. No, we're gonna figure out who is this person, because you're about to send messages today to get that person on your calendar. And it might seem impossible, it might seem hard, it might seem scary, but this is not like you going to your warm market and, begging people, oh, I'm practicing or something like that. This is actually both, we use online strategies and use low-hanging fruit to be able to get you there. But we can get you, if you follow the system, 5 appointments in 5 days by showing you how to do it, not doing it for you. Some of you maybe have spent a lot of money on marketing where you go and, get appointments on your calendar and then they're not as great as they always sound. You get to choose who this clone is. You're going to go out. We give you the message and the hook so that you know what to say. And then we help you get people on your calendar. So it's 5 days. It's 60 minutes a day for those of you who want to join me. I go step by step teaching you exactly how to do this so that you walk away during the challenge with those 5 appointments on your calendar. We have a whole workbook here where you're going to get like the step-by-step of how to do this to walk you through. That's going to help you with that. And then we also give you bonus training. So in addition to every day, we're having something that's going to help you find the ideal prospects. And how do you hook them and get them on your calendar? And then what's the actual money-making activities that you have to do daily to get there? We walk you through the whole process. In addition to that, I'm going to give a bonus training on the high impact conversion framework, which is all about once they get on your calendar, how do you convert them through all the stages of the sale. We also have exclusive Tag Challenge access to WhatsApp. So during the challenge, and sometimes even before, I give you little nuggets on WhatsApp. You have this amazing community of like-minded individuals where you have great support as well. So here it is. You're going to get proven strategies. They work online. You don't have to be calling people. It still works the 5 days. And this is a value of $997. Because I know, like, if you use this once for 5 days in that 1 week, then you can do it again and again and again, and you have a repeatable and duplicatable system as long as you keep using it. Okay. So instead of $997, we're actually giving away for a ridiculous price of $27. Okay. You're like, why would you do that if it's really worth $997? This is what you do these days. You got to show, you got to prove it, baby. You got to show results. So hey, I just need a little skin in the game. So I know you're going to show up, and then let me show you and prove to you that this really works. And so it's only $27. I know it's crazy. And those of you who are like, well, I want really have a VIP experience. Okay. Like maybe we didn't obviously get a chance to talk. Like I said, I usually like to have a lot more interaction, but if you want to get the customized help and you want to be kind of behind the curtain to understand like how you can get these results, how do you pull money out of your existing book, or how do you go to, online, and what is the specific customized help, then join the VIP experience. What you're going to get with VIP, in addition to the 5 days, five sessions throughout that week, is you're going to get the recording. So you have the system forever. You're going to get, I think the best thing is the customized Q&A coaching sessions. And we have 4 of those. We actually have one before the training and then during, to make sure you can ask me anything. How do you implement it? Who's the person you want to clone? I get to help you with that. And then during the sessions, when we're asking for volunteers to help kind of demonstrate how this all works, you can ask questions and often get hot seats. Okay. You have a chance to do that. And then we also give the referral generator system, a pre-challenge deep dive. This is a system of how to get more referrals in your book of business without asking for referrals. Okay. It is like, you do have to talk to them, but it's not like, can I get a referral? It's a really intentional system where you're able to have a good conversation and you're asking in a much different way that gets them aligned with your mission and values. So plus, if you join VIP right now, you also get these 2 bonuses. We have the rapid client capture program. We usually sell this like for at least $300, and it's like, valued at $1,000. But this is the best course to help service-based business owners convert prospects into clients in rapid speed. So it's all about every stage of the sale from start to finish of how do you conduct those meetings in a way that's not typically taught in the industry, that I would argue works way better and is much more aligned with you helping people as opposed to selling people. You can see these are all videos from each of the stages of the sale. And then we also give you the bonus of Ideal Client Cloning Machine. This is more about crafting compelling or captivating messaging. So I know we only had so much time, but if you're like, oh yes, I want to be able to create messaging that attracts my ideal clone, because then you could use it on your website, you can use it on your LinkedIn profile, you can use it all different areas, then you get this as well, Ideal Client Cloning Machine. And here's what people are saying about the VIP experience. You can see it on the page. But this is just, whoops, didn't mean to do that. This is just an additional $97. So you can come to the challenge, you buy your $27 ticket, and then you upgrade for $97. I've done the math. It's $124 for VIP. I would say if you're here still and you liked this idea, then come to the challenge. And I know Dave will pop it in the chat, and I only have a few minutes, but I'm happy to answer any questions and stay a few minutes later if anyone has any questions. I'm sure you're wondering when the challenge is. Actually, let me just show you this. If you go to the screen, you'll see it here. It's September 4th. So if you go here, you'll see, you can watch this little video on how we do this and how people are getting even bigger results. You can see, yay, Mel Robbins. If you know Mel, you guys probably don't know these people, but you should be very impressed. And here's what it is. And then you just get your $27 ticket, and then you'll see a page after that that's about VIP to add, $97 to spend more time with me, get these 2 big bonuses. And it starts, it's an hour a day. And then the VIP sessions are an extra half an hour a day. Essentially, there's like 4 of them. And then you get the customized help. So yeah, it starts at 4:00 Eastern on September 4th. Okay. Dave, do I have any questions here? Thank you for dropping that.
For sure. You do have just a couple, actually. When you gave that example, you're talking about niching or not niching, but, cloning that ideal client. And you had that little old lady example. That person comes along, it's the parents of a client or something. And there was maybe a little bit of confusion. Is that someone that you recommend taking on as a client or not?
Sorry about that. I swear that a little distraction. I go get so distracted. Sorry if I didn't explain that properly. So the idea is this. If you're cloning one client, you're like, this is the executive. Maybe that little lady comes from she's a mom of one of the clients, or maybe she's just sees that you're posting and you're talking about how you help these executives. The idea is that when you clone a specific person, you start putting that wherever, your messaging is to that person. And what that does inherently, it raises your credibility, and it gives you just gives you more authority. So if that little lady comes and she's got a $600,000 annuity, if I was a financial advisor still, I'd be taking that client on in a heartbeat, right? So yes, I would. But let's say that same little old lady comes to you and she's got 600,000, you think you can put in an annuity, but she's a pain in the what? I would not, no one can pay me enough to take a pain in the butt client. Like I'm not ever going back to taking clients who I will not enjoy working with and be fulfilled. So the answer is you get to choose. The idea is that, and I think a lot of advisors do this, is that you think just because you meet with someone, especially if they're a referral, you have to take them on. That's just positioning. If you come to me and you're like, you were recommended by someone and I'm like, great, tell me about, and I'm like, great. So the purpose of this meeting is to discover if we're a match and if it makes sense for us to move forward in some capacity. Even that little line is saying, I'm not saying I'm working with everybody. I'm not saying it's guaranteed I'm going to work with you, even if you came from my favorite client. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. And I have great ways to say, well, I'm happy to recommend or refer someone else, or I'm happy to help you, and point you in the right direction. But I'd say go with the S&P, baby, and then come back to me. But the idea is that that's a sales conversation. But what you want to start looking at your business, and actually Michael talked about this, and I shifted my podcast. He was on my podcast and I never launched it because we are redoing a podcast, which has been less of a priority. So I can actually, if you guys, I think Dave, you can help me with this, but I can get you that kind of behind the scenes podcast that Michael and I did that hasn't been released yet. But what he talked about was how you guys love Michael, you understand this, but he talks about how you only have so many seats on the bus. He referenced a book, but I forget the book name, but he's like, if you're a financial advisor and you're like, I can take 60 to 70 clients, like that's it. Right. And so it's like, you're the driver. It's like, how many people can get on this bus? And oftentimes we just let people on the bus, then standing room only, which means they're not getting well serviced. And you have this $5 million client who's standing room only, and you're like, crap, I need to kick those other guys out in order to get this guy a seat. So it's like being selective from the beginning, as opposed to letting go of your C clients and disappointing people later. It is a scarcity effect. And it's just having a mindset of like, I get to work with who I want. And if you knew where your next client was going to come from, and you knew that you could just next week get 5 appointments on your calendar, and then you could do it again next week, not just appointments, but quality appointments, you'd be less likely to take the wrong clients, and you don't need to. Right. So so it's definitely up to you, but I would create standards of like, this is like who I want. This is who I want to attract. And it can be demographic, but then when you get really, really good at this, based on like certain criteria, if they're who you want to work with or not. Like they're complaining, don't work with them.
Yeah.
They're expecting, the market to go straight up and not willing to take any risk, things like that.
Yeah. And sometimes it's paid prospecting too, an introductory service where you can, you have a chance to date, because sometimes that first meeting isn't enough to know if that's a great client or not. But well, thank you so much. We are at overtime. So to be respectful of everyone's time, I'm going to leave it here, but we did drop in a link if you want to reach out to anyone on the XYPN team to learn a bit about that. And I've also dropped in the tag challenge link, but I'll do that again. So it's right at the
can you do one more thing? Because I don't think I can do it. But if you guys, it should be pretty easy to spell. But if you guys have any questions for me, just send a message to support@robyncrane.com. Robyn is ROBYN. I can put it in here, but I think then you have to repost it. RobynCrane.com. So so I'm happy to answer questions, or my team will get that and get it back to me. But if you have any other questions that we didn't have time for, let us know. I would just, hope to see you guys at the challenge. This is going to be awesome. It's really fun too, really engaging. And it's a lot, but it's also step by step. So everybody just follow the system and it works. It's just really cool. Well, thank you so much. And thanks to XYPN for having me. And I'll see you guys at the challenge.
Yeah, thank you, Robyn. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.